One of the useful features of MySQL is join. Join operations let us combine two or more tables together based on a related column that they have in common. There are different types of join operations and you are seeing them on the screen. For example, inner join, left join, right join, and full join that in SQL is called full outer join. Full outer join of SQL is not supported in MySQL, but we can emulate it the way that it operates exactly like SQL. In this video, we'll be exploring this join operation and we'll see how we can use it in our commands. Here I'm logged into the MySQL server and we have two tables here in MySQL tutorials database. One of them is students and the other one is grades, and the grades table has a column called student ID that is related to the ID column of a students table. So the student ID 1 will be this record, the student ID 2 will be this record with ID 2. Now let's take a look at the inner join operation. Inner join returns only rows that have matches in both tables. If we have a record in one table that has no match in the other one, it won't be returned by the inner join. Based on our tables and their records inside them, we have a command here that uses inner join, and as I said, it's only returning the records that have matches in both tables. What it does is selecting all records, all columns from the students table, and also the grade and date columns from the grades table. It of course involves the students and grades table, and it compares the ID from the students table and the student ID from the grades table. So only the rows that have matches between ID and student ID will be returned, and if there's a record in any of these tables that has no match in the other one, it won't be returned. If I press enter, I get only 8 records, and that's because one of the records in the grades table with student ID 9 has no match with ID 9 in the students table, if that makes sense. And this is how inner join works. Now let's take a look at the other ones. Now let's see how left join works. The left join operation returns all the records from the left table, the students table. We call it left because we're writing it left. We're writing it first and it's the left side, so we call it left. So it will return all the records from the students table, and for the grade and date column that we have added to the response using join, if there's no match in this table for one of these students, the data for these two columns will be null, will be empty. If I press enter, I get no null in response, and that's because we have matches in the grades table for all these students. If I had, for example, 10 students and one or more of them has no match in the grades table, these two columns would be returned as null, as empty. So in the next command you will see how the null record will be returned, since we have one record in the grades table that has no match in the students. And this is the syntax for the right join operation, and as you see, it's exactly like inner join and left join, except in this one left or inner has been changed to right. And what it does is returning all columns and records from the right table this time, and if there's no match in the left side for one of those records, empty or null will be returned. Here I have a right join operation in my command, and what it does is, as said, it will return all records from the grades table, all grade and date data from the grades table, and if there's any record in the grades table that has no match in the students table, the columns for the student table of that record will be returned as null. I press enter and I get one column that has some nulls in it, and as you see, it's related to the students table. ID, first name, last name, and score are the columns from the students table, and we have a record in the grades table with students ID 9, but we don't have any student with ID 9, so there's no match for that specific record, and therefore the data that is sent back from the students is null. And this is how left join or right join returns null if there's no match in the other table. Back to the first screen of the video. So now it's time to talk about full join, that is the last one in this tutorial. If you're familiar with SQL, we have a full outer join there, but since it's not supported in MySQL, we have to emulate it using the other join operations that we have in hand. And how it works is that it returns all records from all tables, two or more tables that we have joined together. Of course, we can join more than two tables together. And if there's no match on the other table or tables for this specific record, those columns will be returned as null, just like what you saw in the right join example. Now let's see how it works on the command line. Here I have a left join operation and right join one, and I have connected them together using union, and this is how we can emulate the full outer join operation of SQL and MySQL. Now let's see how it works. It returns all records from a student and also all records from the grades. If there's a record in one of these two tables that has no match in the other one, the other columns will be returned as null. I press enter, and again I'm getting null for these four columns that are related to the students table, and this is why we have a grades with a student's ID 9, but we don't have any student with ID 9 in the students table. And this is how the full join works. In this video, we learned different types of join operation in MySQL, and I need to mention that join is one of the operations that happens a lot in software development and real-life projects. There are a lot of cases that we have two or more tables and we want to grab data from one of them based on the field on the other one, and there are a lot of cases. So it's a good idea to take a little bit of time and have practice on this one, because it will ease your projects and developments further. I hope it was useful for you, and until the next one, I bid you farewell.